it's a story that starts back when I was in junior high.
Okay.
My family, we were Catholic, but we didn't practice the faith at all. But I went to a Catholic school, so I was familiar with it, but I wasn't really interested in it.
Sure.
I was really focused at that time of my life on other people and what they thought of me, which is pretty typical for that age. So I made a lot of changes to myself, just in what I wore or how I spoke or whatever, and started getting into not the best scene.
Yeah.
And I was always left feeling empty. Like I was seeking that acceptance and that love, and I wasn't finding it. And then at the end of my 8th grade year, right after I graduated, I was headed to high school. That small group of friends that I had all turned their back on me at the same time. Said some really horrible things. And because of the place that I was at, it just completely shattered everything that I had built up. And I found myself at a place where I was asking the question, what am I here for? Like, why am I even alive? Like, what's the point to life anymore? And I got so caught up in that despair that I started to really believe that truth, that no one really cared, that no one loved me. And I got to a point where I decided that I was going to take my own life because I didn't see the point anymore. And it was just a really dark place. I'd hit that rock bottom.
Yeah.
And so I was about ready to do that when all of a sudden something hit me. Like, it was just like something went off. And the next thing I knew, like, I was just weeping. And I just knew that I couldn't do it. And so I sat down and I was like, well, now what do I do? Like, what do I do with my life? And so I'd always, I went to Catholic school, so I picked up a Bible and I was like, I don't even know what to read. Like, I just started reading from Genesis and fell asleep that night. And I woke up the next morning, I was like, I have to do something with my life. What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to high school, I don't have those friends anymore. What do I do? And so I started to make a lot of friends with some people from my neighborhood and that kind of thing who were really great practicing Christians, but they were all Protestant. And so from that, I started experimenting, checking out youth groups with Free Methodist Church and the Pentecostal Church and all that kind of stuff, just trying everything. And it wasn't for a while that I realized what I had been searching for in all those things, because I was always left wanting something else, and I couldn't put my finger on what that was. And then my sophomore year of high school, after I started getting everything figured out, and I had made a decision, like, I wanted to be Catholic. I had gotten confirmed and everything. My world was rocked once more. My parents announced they were getting a divorce, and it just really shook me up because that was something that I thought was so sturdy and so secure in my life. And then it wasn't. And so thanks be to God, I'd had that grace from earlier that I didn't fall back into that despair, but I knew to trust in Him. And so I started seeking Him out in the Catholic Church, in Mass especially. I realized that the thing that had been missing from all those other youth groups I had gone to was the Eucharist.
Because they have exciting and fun stuff, but there wasn't that depth.
Exactly. Like, I would walk away from a service and be like, that was really good praise and worship, but it was no different than a youth group. Like, what makes that service versus something else? And so through that, I started comparing that to the Mass that I was going to, and I realized every time I left Mass, I felt satisfied. I felt filled, that I didn't find anywhere else. And so through that, I got really involved in my Catholic faith, and net started to come into the picture. And I decided that it was something I could see myself doing and other people could see me doing. And through a lot of prayer, I decided, all right, net it is.
Wow.
And so, like, through that, I've seen God working in such a huge and powerful way in my life, through all these little things and big things. I know I can be certain that it all started that one night. Like, He reached out His hand and saved me from the depths of hell of sin. Like, if I had gone at that point in time in my life, like, who knows? And so God has used all of that in such a huge way, especially with this ministry, to be able to reach out to young people who are in a very similar place. And that was 5 years ago. And looking at where I was then, where I am now, I can see, like, God has given hope.